out here on Wilson Lake, and I just want to give you a quick tip. We're out here dragging today at about 76 feet. We're going to run a combination of both long lines and planer boards. So the goal is to have 4 long lines out and then 2 planer boards off the side here. And the planer boards are really going to help spread the bait to the side and really get a wider spread as we're moving down this flat that we're fishing. I'm going to explain the rig a little bit. This is the dragging setup. So this is a barrel swivel that we have right here. That's connected to a pencil bottom bouncer. Down from there we have a chain swivel, and what this does is it spins in multiple areas and really prevents the bait from tangling up once it's spinning your line. Down from there we have a float. That's just to keep the bait a little bit off the bottom, down to a 10-aught circle hook here. So I'm going to show you our planer boards that we're using. These are the offshore SST Pro Mags. They have a flag here, and this is the larger offshore planer board. It's meant for pulling big baits, and a lot of the striper and catfishing folks use these to really get the baits out to the side. So I'll show what we do to get this board out. We'll hook up a piece of skipjack. We're using chunks today. And it's a bit colder, so I have downsized the bait a tad out here. We a lot of times throw much bigger bait here on Wilson and Wheeler because these fish are so large. And the way I like to hook this, I like to hook it just in the center, so you have the most amount of the hook shank exposed. And the reason I hook it in the center, because it won't spin around as much. It'll glide through the water quite smoothly. So to set these out, we're also using these Dakota line counters, and these really help to understand how much line is out behind the boat. So since I have multiple lines out already, I don't want to just cast out the back. I'm going to be putting out this one board off this other side, so I'm going to make my cast pretty far to the side, so I'm not tangling up with the back line. One thing I'll say about dragging when you have multiple straight lines out the back, it's important to stagger your distance. So the 3 I have out back right now, I have one at 100 foot behind the boat, I have another at 150, and another at 200 feet. And what that does really is when you make those turns, when you're dragging, those lines won't actually cross through each other when you're making the turns, and it keeps the tangles from happening in your line. So I just casted out this planer board line, and I'm actually going to let out about 150 feet. So that's 150 feet behind the actual planer board. So I did cast to the side, so we're out of the back lines. I've got 150 feet here. And most of these planer boards have a snap system. The offshores have a really nice snap system, and we just slide this 80-pound Power Pro in there and then clip the backboard, and that's pretty much the setup. And they're ready to go. We'll deploy these off the side, and then we'll run these as far as really you want off the back, how far you want your spread. So once we deploy these, we deploy them at different widths for different conditions. So we're fishing a big expansive flat right now, so I want these pretty wide off the edge of the boat to try to cover the biggest spread as possible. But in many cases you might be fishing a ledge, and you want the center of the boat maybe down the center of the ledge, and then you can actually control the distance of your planer boards to where you can have one board at the bottom of the ledge and one board at the top of the ledge, so you're really covering that whole water column from the top of the ledge, the middle section, and then the bottom of the ledge. So just a couple tips there for running planer boards out here to catch big blue catfish.